And there we go. Just waiting for the fade out on that. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. Welcome in, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of my law investigation series. Got a jam-packed filled episode for you guys today. Just want to thank everyone for joining. Anyone that's watching on the VOD, cheers. I mean just as much to me as everyone else in the chat here, which we're just going to go quickly through the chat and give everyone a little hello, everyone a little shout out. So welcome in Virgil on YouTube. Quite a bright name there. Goobdy Goob, welcome in. Joanne Popper says, awesome series, looking forward to the next episode. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Retro Godfather, welcome in, buddy. Clunky Mage, looking forward to it as well, which is nice to hear. Richard 2 and a newcomer, Seaside Colours, welcome in, guys. Stace 9, Count Gooby, another Goob sort of name. Welcome in. And Ginger Fairy at the bottom there. Welcome in, everyone. So, what we're going to do today, we've got a quick recap. I'm just going to go through. Again, just let me know if there's any audio issues or anything like that. I think we should be good, though. I will bring this on the screen, actually. Let me just close that down. Just so we've got a little bit of a reference pointer here. Oops, what's popping up here? Right. So, previous 2 episodes, I don't know if I'm going to keep this up every single episode, because then it's going to be quite a lengthy recap. But obviously, we know all about the stars now. I will actually, while I'm on this little subject point here, obviously the Big Dipper, we did get to a point where we were looking at, I've got an image, I think. The Big Dipper with, you'll see it in a second when I've got it up here. This image, really cool image that's in the Russia China shop. You've got the, I assume, the Lord of the Sky. We were discussing there on a carriage, and that sort of depicts there. And I've been sent by Sergey Nest actually a couple of images that I've upscaled as well that I'm going to get on the screen, which are really cool because it's like, here you go, this is like that inspiration for where that image in the game actually comes from. So we've got, in China, the Big Dipper was imagined to be the constellation of the celestial bureaucrat, that's it, seated on a cloud and accompanied on his rounds about the North Pole of the sky by his eternally hopeful petitioners. So it's actually really cool to see this sort of image outside of the games, if you know what I mean. Also, he sent me this one, which I thought was amazing because it literally is the image from the game. Again, I've upscaled it so it's a little bit pixely, but it's not too bad actually. It kind of come out like a bit like an artwork, sort of like a felt tip pen sort of drawing there. But that's really cool because if you compare that to, let's close that one down. If you compare that to the final game, I have to move that side over there. Well, the one that's in the game, it is obviously, it's literally that image, which is really cool. So that's where that image has come from. Just added a fish there for some reason. But yeah, so there's the Lord of the Sky on his carriage. Looks like he's in the clouds to me. You've got the dragon. Looks like a dragon. Some birds. Those were the, what was it say? It's like his followers or something. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool contribution from Sergey Nest. Thank you for sending me that, mate. He sent me some other stuff, but we're going to save that for another episode. So what I want to cover today is we're probably going to go quite in depth into Dragon and Phoenix, sort of look in detail and what's going on with dragons and phoenixes and that sort of reoccurring theme. So that's kind of what we're going to cover there. Obviously, we may get around to, it depends how long we're going to take here, but I did want to look into Chiyo as well at some point. So obviously, you know, Master Chen says when the Dragon Phoenix meets, the gates of heaven and earth are going to open and Chiyo is going to come up on earth and wreck everyone up. Whereas Yuandazu says that when the Dragon and the Phoenix are paired, they form a key to the treasure. So yeah, bit of contradiction there. The prophecy is big on the Dragon and Phoenix, so that's why we're going to go into that. Again, with the bad ending, the dragon calling the dark clouds. I think there's some stuff in there because I have been doing a little bit of research to make sure this show sort of goes a bit goes well. The mirrors. This was the interesting thing from last week, actually. Just as a bit of a catch up for anyone that was perhaps not in the stream last week, but we discovered that the Emperor at the time obviously requested or ordered the creation of these two mirrors, these Phoenix and Dragon Phantom Stone River mirrors from the best sculpture in Guilin, who obviously we know as Mr. Yuan's grandfather, who, I don't know, did I put his name on here? He's got a name anyway. I don't think I've put it down here that I can see. It's someone Yuan. Oh, here you go. Yuan Liu Shan, something. So that's like the guy that made the mirrors. And we learned actually that quite crazily, the Emperor at the time was only 4 years old. So the Emperor Pu Yi, who was born in 1906, and obviously the mirrors were crafted in 1910, which is crazy. So at 2 years old, he became the Emperor. He was only 4 years old at the time of the mirrors commission. And obviously he was part of the last Orthodox dynasty in Chinese history. The dragon's said to represent the Emperor and the Phoenix the Emperor. So hopefully we'll discover some more stuff around the Emperor and the Empress as we go through looking into the Dragon and Phoenix today. And then we get that little bit on the scroll. You've seen the scroll. I probably should have had the image up actually, but I mean, I have got it here, so maybe we can. Let me remember 4219. Whereabouts did we do it? I think it was a little bit later, wasn't it? Here we go. On the scroll there. Oh, actually, it's on Switch's blog post, which I've got up here. I think. Yeah. So yeah, you've got your Phoenix and your Dragon depicted on that big scroll that you find at the top of the bell tower. You actually use the Sword of the Seven Stars to retrieve that, don't you? And that scroll basically depicts this cliff temple where supposedly the treasure's locked away. And it's, if the mirrors get in the wrong hands, they're going to unlock the treasure. And I don't know, it's a bit out there what the treasure could actually be, whether it could bring good, bad treasure, actual, riches, or destruction, death and destruction with the Chia monster. That's something that we're going to potentially investigate, I guess. Right, so I think that takes us nicely in here. If you did want to catch up, obviously we've got episode 1 and 2 that I've already recorded, and they're on there on the Dojo channel. But this is an awesome post by Switch on Phantom Riverstone. Next little thing I'm going to do just before we get into today's actual show is this little. Just make sure my camera's still working. Yep, this little bit from Switch. So obviously we did actually look at it, and that's what I've got here. You recall, you've got kind of like the mirror plans were on here, and then you've got these plans below that, which are sort of, they look like the stone pit, possibly where he's going to build the mirrors, those big stone relic mirror versions of them. And then there's a few documents there, and at the bottom is a weird one. Obviously, it's got a tree. You can't really see what's going on with the image. To me, this kind of feels like perhaps when the envoy came and presented the Yuan family with the mirror plans, perhaps they give them all these documents. So, this is where you're going to build them, perhaps. Or this could just be plans that Mr. Yuan's come up with, potentially, I don't know. But it's just either an Easter egg or it's there for a reason, this picture in the background. And Switch has taken that image, so that this is the raw file, basically, that image has come from. And yeah, you could kind of make out, it looks like a fountain. It could be a Dalek. But it looks like the shape of a fountain, like a water fountain, and you've got the arches and the trees and stuff there. And recently, we're going to quickly breeze through this post, but recently, I think it was because of Switch's posts that obviously we based the lore streams on so far, he had a reply from a guy, he might list his name here, we'll give him some credit in a moment, that posted pictures of Puyu's house, or where he was living at the time. And there's a very starking, if that's the right word, resemblance to this image here. So the photo can be partially seen on the desk in Shenhua's father's room, in the pile where Rio finds the plans for the Phoenix and Dragon mirrors. But there's no way for the player to move the other papers aside to examine it, and Rio makes no comment about it. It's that one there that we just looked at. It is, however, possible to view the full photo by accessing the game files directly, which looks as below. It appears to be some kind of outdoor scene with arches, trees, and some kind of structure in the centre. In our post about the photo, we posed the question of why this photo would have been present among the design documents, whether it had any significance, and most of all, whether such a location exists in real life, perhaps. Possible candidate for the mystery. So, there are several hints and clues that a real historical figure, the last emperor of the Qing dynasty, Pu Yi, plays a significant part in the story of Shenmue. In Shenmue 3, although he's not mentioned by name, it's revealed that the emperor was the one who ordered the creation of the dragon and the phoenix mirrors in the year 1910. Curiously, he was only a child at the time. And then, on a post on the forums, which I believe is like a little bit down here, oh no, that one there, I think it was on Switch's blog post forum topic, some dude by the name of RNR posted some interesting research and historical facts about Pu Yi's life, and one photo in particular caught my attention. Doesn't this look familiar? I mean, you can literally see the shape of the fountain there. You've got the arches. You've got these sort of circular bush trees. It looks like definitely the inspiration. You can see where that's, Switch has made the connection from. Features remarkably similar to the mysterious photo in Shenhua's house in Shenmue 2, the trees, the round arches, the central pillar and basin. The central pillar is part of a decorative fountain, and although horizontal fountain tiers are not readily visible in the Shenmue 2 image, that could be explained by water spray covering them. It is a bit obscured, isn't it? It's like, to be fair, that's like a couple of round circular layers perhaps. You've got the basin. Yeah, could be like the fountain's on and there's water going over it. The real life location of this photo is the city of Tianjin, at one of Pu Yi's former residences, where he lived after being expelled from the Forbidden City in Beijing in 1924. And Tianjin is southeast of Beijing and lies to the north of the city of Kangzhou, the city with the Iron Lion, the place that is likely to have a future significance in Shenmue. Which, I can probably bring that up quickly, actually. So it's chapter, is that 8? Chapter 8 there. That's the one with the stone lion. That's the one he mentions. Yeah, that must be the location that's, just double check that. It's this one, isn't it? Right, someone did do a list, I think. Here you go. Kangzhou, yeah, 8. Oh, yo, J-Scan, thanks for the subscription, buddy. Really appreciate that. Took me by surprise there. Don't know why we've got a zombie on the screen. Nothing Shenmue related, but yeah, much appreciated. Cheers for that, mate. So what was I saying? Yeah, Kangzhou, which is an interesting location, which Switch is going to mention here. Furthermore, Yu Suzuki himself also passed through Tianjin during his 1994 China research trip that led to the development of Shenmue, and is entirely possible that he actually visited this residence himself. Yeah, Kangzhou is very interesting because it's the location where I think Mengkun is within this. So if it's like a city or a county or whatever, Mengkun, obviously the name of the place that's referenced at the start of the game, Landy mentions that's where Iwao killed his father, apparently, Mengkun. That's based in Kangzhou, which is really interesting. It being so close to the Emperor's residence, I guess. Maybe some significance there, not sure. In the game, the photo was never properly shown to the player, so perhaps it was included almost as an Easter egg, a subtle link to the fact that Pu Yu was the one who commissioned the mirrors. So, they've done the research, basically, guys. It's not just there because it's, they just randomly came across a texture file and they just thought, oh, that's cool. It's like proper researched. It matches up really well, in my opinion. Historically, Pu Yi did not move to this residence until much later than the game's 1910 time period in which the mirrors were commissioned, so clearly its use was not factually based, but it may have been instead more of an inspiration as an image that represents the child's imperial residence. And actually, it's the treasures of the imperial residence, I believe, that we discovered the Aldier mentions, because there's a little bit of a translation thing going on there. If you remember from last week, where I think she says, that treasures, it sounds like these ancient Qing Dynasty treasures or whatever, and it's actually, I think it meant let me get that back up, that was on this thing here. It's actually the Imperial Palace treasures, I believe. Just a quick check of that. Make sure I'm getting my facts straight. Again, disclaimer, guys, I'm not one to be well versed in all this sort of stuff. I'm learning as we go. It's the bit with the scroll, isn't it, which is here. Here you go. Yeah, based on the flow of the conversation, it's likely that Aldier is talking about the treasures of the Imperial household, so it's quite possible it could be this house, essentially. But yeah, I thought we'd go through that. I think that's a really interesting Easter egg, little hidden photo sort of thing there. I'm going to catch up on the chat now, guys. Apologies for that. I went off on a bit of a spree of reading there. Hey, Hannah, welcome in. Good evening. Pig Dan, I see. Sailors. Yeah, Retro, very cool indeed. Ryo Azuki will become the Emperor of China at the end, do you reckon? It's honestly the things I'm finding that we may come across today are that Landi is very much Emperor worthy. There's something we may discover about Landi a little bit. Cheers, Matt. Cheers, matey. Yeah, no worries, guys. Right, so we're going to get into today's stream. So I've got some notes here, just make sure that I'm covering everything. Short Emperor talk, yeah, we've done that. Good stuff. Right, we're going to go into, I think I can close that now. That was literally just to show you the plans. That's that post, that's that post. Okay, I need to get everything in my head sorted here. Otherwise I'm going to do a bad job of this. Right, so we're going to watch first, guys. This is going to get into the big, deep discussion on Dragon and Phoenix now. We're going to start with the Shimmer Online trailer, where I think a lot of these ideas may be happening in the future of the series. They may just be stuff that was intended for Shimmer Online, and they're not gospel, they're not lore, they're not going to be canon. But whenever I see this trailer, I think this is canon and something that's going to happen at the end of the series. And I just think it's amazing that we've had, even if we don't get Shenmue 4, if we don't get Shenmue 5, at least we've had this is kind of like what could potentially be the ending of the game, or, you know, an idea based on what could be in the final game. You know what I mean? You'll see. If you've not seen this before, it's incredible. Make sure I've got sound on there. Let me know if it's too loud, too quiet. Hopefully it's loud enough that I can talk over it, but yeah, let's get into it. At least we've got audio, I can see that. Potentially the scroll, like an early version of the scroll from the Bell Tower, perhaps. I don't know, there's some people there, you know. If you just look at that, you go back a second. When you're looking at that there, that looks like a figure of a person there. Is that a bandana? Is that a figure of someone else with a bandana? Is that Shenmue sitting down? Kind of looks, I don't know. But that one especially just looks like a figure. And I don't think it's that. This is just a random. No. Well, it could be. I suppose I'm just looking at the sleeves and the robe and stuff. Is that the Lord of the Sky? It's gonna the Sky Lord. There's the dragon. See, it's definitely depicting the events there. You've got the Phoenix and the dragon. In fact, that is like the. Sorry to keep pausing, but that is like that one image, albeit without the treasure in the middle. Could be the four leaders, Matt, yeah. I love this trailer. I do love this trailer myself. This is the long version just because there's a little bit more going on with the dragon and the phoenix. So obviously this is not too relevant to my topic. Yeah, I think like the fireball stuff, that's more gamified. I can't imagine that happening in the later in the series. I'm not sure. Could be a thing. Maybe there's going to be like fireball wielding characters later in the game. But this is the stuff I'm talking about here, where this is obviously something's obscuring the heavens. You know, the dark clouds obscuring the heavens. This is all in the prophecy. This is Shenmue turning into a meow dress, and I have got a video about meow stuff in a bit, which is interesting. There's the dragon, so he's obscuring the heavens like the prophecy. I'm convinced this is canon, Matt. It's too on the nose with the prophecy. I hope a build of this gets leaked someday. I reckon it's either like chapter 10. You know, I always feel like when you look at the chapter tile images, like 11 is like the aftermath. There we go, this is the online stuff. That's Matt jumping in to save the day. Good bit. Hey Gamslab, by the way. How you doing, mate? So already I'm seeing that Shenmue is this Empress. She's giving off this Empress vibe. And Landi is just... it's like the Emperor and the Empress in battle. Is that the dark clouds being opened? Is that a good thing? What's going on here?
Shenmue. Alright.
Incredible. Is incredible, that trailer. But yeah, I don't know what was going on at the end there, whether that's... She seemed to like use some sort of a power to... Do you know what I mean? Is that... That's a good thing, right? I feel like the Phoenix has gone in, although Landy's done that attack. But the dark clouds are like opening. And then Shenfua's necklace chimes and turns into some sort of... God knows. That's going to be one of those mysteries. But it's really cool. Yeah, I do really want to see Shenmue showing off powers more. I know we did get a little bit in Shenmue 3 with the mind control stuff. But this sort of stuff really intrigues me. Especially that, where she's like, outfit physically changes. Don't know why it's so dark, but for her to have like this outfit, that would be insane if that happens one day. That would be like a proper mind-blowing moment. Mind-blowing moment. What platforms did they plan? Yeah, I think it was just PC, wasn't it, Matt? Yeah. It did get a demo, we researched and found out, in Korea. So people did actually play an open beta or a closed beta or something of Shenmue Online. I'm not sure if the feedback wasn't positive from it or something. I know the combat was a little bit off, but then we did an episode on it for the podcast. We did see like an improvement in the combat later on. So it was shaping up to be an okay game actually in the end. But it is a shame whatever happened to it. God knows. But yeah, I thought just tying a little bit of Shenmue stuff there with the dragon and the phoenix. Obviously, there's some sort of meaning behind that with the dark clouds and what we know from the prophecy. So I found this video, which is very much so about dragons in Chinese folklore, Chinese mythology, which I thought would be an interesting video to start us off with. So let's get stuck into this next, guys.
Magnificent, marvelous,
Oops, let me just turn the volume back up. It needs to be probably about there. Let me know if it needs to be louder or whatever, but I think we should be good there.
magnificent, marvelous, legendary, undulating as gracefully through the vast sky above.
I'm going to pause it straight away because already you can see the similarities to like that online trailer where the dragons and all the clouds are dark and stuff. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but
As the watery depths below, the Chinese dragon is one of the world's most globally recognized monsters. Their behavior could be described as benevolent, but their appearance can still inspire fear and awe. These dragons, or Long, as they're
see that, by the way, guys. Blandy's name is Long Zhao Longsum, right? So I'd assume if you were seeing the Chinese character of his name, the long bit would be that. So he's actually got dragon in his name, which is pretty cool. Chang Long, I think his original name was. So I'm not sure what Chang means, if that means anything, but Long means dragon, which is cool.
they're called in Chinese mythology, have been
Kang
a crucial
Long,
component of religion, culture, mythology, and folklore in China for thousands of years. The dragon is one of the 4 benevolent animals in Chinese mythology and one of the 12 members of the Chinese zodiac, and those are only small parts of their influence. Dragons played a major role in China's history. They were both creators and destroyers and controlled the elements. So what was it about the Chinese dragon that made it such a central figure in Chinese culture? I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and this is Monstrum. The dragon was born in China a long time ago and has appeared throughout ancient and modern history. A jade dragon discovered from Hongshan culture dates to around 6,000 years ago, and dragon heads appear on oracle bones from 1300 BCE. More recently, Disney Shang-Chi gave us a beautiful and mythologically accurate representation of the creature. That's a pretty solid track record.
Just straight up, guys, do we think that dragons existed at some point, or is it all just stories? Obviously, there was dinosaurs at one point. So, if you believe in dinosaurs, do you believe in flying dragons? I don't know. Just get that back. I may pause it a little bit just because I'm not sure if there's any like legalities for like constantly playing stuff, and it just gives me a chance to talk anyway. So, but I will give a shout out to this video, and it's a really good video to be fair.
Accurate representation of the creature. That's a pretty solid track record. Wang Fu, a Chinese historian and philosopher in the Eastern Han Dynasty, wrote that the dragon's unique appearance is actually a composite of many different animal features, and the list is long. Their heads are the same shape as a camel, their ears are like a bull, and they regard us with eyes similar to a hare, or a murderous demon, depending on the source. Atop their majestic heads grow the antlers of a stag. They have the writhing body of a snake and the well-armored belly of a clam. They have the feet of a tiger and the enormous talons of an eagle. Finally, covering their whole body are the protective scales of a carp. Some scholars believe that these various attributes evolved out of the influence of the disparate tribes that eventually unified into the China we know today. Others see them as emblematic of desirable human characteristics, or as a representative amalgamation of ancient spiritual totems. Some traditions claim that the Chinese dragons conceal a large pearl in their throat or chin. The pearl, often depicted in art as a glowing white disc in a dragon's claw or mouth, may represent the sun, the moon, or the earth. Or maybe it's just a giant jewel. Regardless, the dragon's ability to hold the precious orb represents immense power.
That's cool, isn't it? That is like what you see on the Phoenix Dragon Mirror. In fact, is that like the actual Dragon Mirror image? Let me have a quick. Shenmue Dragon Mirror. Has he got a pearl on there? No, I guess not. Unless like the gem in the middle is the pearl.
Even the number of scales on the Chinese dragon's body carries important significance. The number is said to be 117, which in traditional Chinese philosophy and religion represents a perfect balance of yin, negative essence, and yang, positive essence. Because of this natural duality, while usually compassionate, the dragon can be malicious as well. Or even just really invested in politics. In the 17th century, scholar Se Jiaozhe's text, The Five Assorted Offerings, tells the story of his own encounter with dragons. According to Se, while traveling by sea at 10 years old with his uncle on a diplomatic mission, they were suddenly plagued by wind, rain, hail, thunder, and lightning. 3 dragons surrounded them. At first, everyone was terrified of the extraordinary creatures, but an elder remarked that they must be there to hear the emperor's message. They interact with gods and immortals in the heavens. Even without wings, they can fly through the air. They are shapeshifters, capable of taking on any size or shape, including human form. They can turn invisible at will, are highly intelligent, and in some stories, they can even speak. The deep meanings attributed to Chinese dragons are ancient, so much so that their exact origins are largely lost to the past. The evidence that we do have, however, suggests dragons were a universal facet in all early cultures in China, even though traditions and spiritual significance differed. In the guide...
You don't think Landi is like a walking human version of a dragon? The embodiment of a dragon? Is that a bit far-fetched?
Ways through mountains and seas, an encyclopedic tome in Chinese bestiary penned between the 4th and 1st century BCE, the dragon appeared as a nature deity known as the god of thunder, who uses his own belly to drum up echoing booms. There were even so-called dragon cults, religious groups that worshiped dragons and gave offerings to appease them. As aquatic, semi-divine beings, dragons control rainstorms, hail, wind, tornadoes, floods, and all bodies of water. Dragons helped explain the rain cycle during the Song dynasties, and were thus also said to bring thunder and lightning. This was
I think that's really interesting, because that is like mentioning thunder, lightning, and obviously we know at the start of the game, the introduction, it's got to be potentially some significance there, or do you think that's just a gamified thing that they just thought, oh, it'd be cooler if it's lightning and raining? But it does seem like the dragon is significant in that, you know, it obscures the heavens, it alters the weather, you know, snow to rain. Here, she just mentioned thunder and lightning. It's pretty cool how it links to Shenmue in that sense as well.
Important development, because if humans could summon dragons, then they had a semblance of control over rain as well. During this same period, paintings of dragons dramatically increased. In ancient Chinese cosmology, there are 4 kinds of dragons: the celestial dragon, dragon of hidden treasure, the underground or underworld dragon, and spiritual dragon, who control rain and winds. But in other traditions, the taxonomy expands to 9, an auspicious number in Chinese numerology, and interestingly, the same number of animals the dragon borrows its features from. Joining the classification system are the winged dragon, the horned dragon, the coiling dragon, the yellow dragon, and the dragon king. The dragon king concept was only introduced after the arrival of Buddhism in China. When Buddhism came to the area, dragons were adopted as a symbol of enlightenment as well as royalty. Buddhism was then imported from China to Japan around the 7th century, and dragons came along with it. Dragons were later incorporated into Shintoism as well. The Shinto god Susanoo was believed to have killed an 8-headed dragon, which certainly seems like a monster slayer story to me. In Chinese mythology, when one of the 4 poles that held up the sky collapsed, one of the disastrous consequences was great flooding brought on by the black dragon, a malevolent creature who could only be stopped by the mother goddess Nuwa. But other dragons are not so monstrous. After all, one of those world-building pillars was constructed by the green dragon, one of the deities of creation. In yet another creation story from the Bai peoples, when the world was created, a great golden dragon lay in slumber under the sea. When one of 2 warring suns dropped into the ocean, the sea began to boil. Awoken and enraged by this, the golden dragon swallowed the sun. It began to burn him, eventually bursting from his chest and becoming clouds, trees, flowers, grass, and animals of all kinds. So to sum it up, not all Chinese dragons are the same. They serve different purposes. Some are celestial, others belong to the river, some protect treasure, act as deities, or serve as a connection to the spiritual. Oh, and they can have human offspring, or more specifically, emperors. This is one reason why Chinese dragons are intimately linked to imperial history. During the Han Dynasty to Qin Dynasty period, the great and powerful dragon became associated with emperors as a way to show the rulers had been divinely chosen. The first Han emperor, known as the Yellow Emperor, was said to be the offspring of a human mother and a divine dragon. This supposed heritage trickled down to all elements of the emperor's authority, from their robes to their beds. Yellow or golden dragons were particularly revered by imperial powers, and the 5-clawed dragon became an official imperial symbol in the 14th century. Their claws represent the emperor's power over the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water.
I'm going to pause it a sec there. I think that's crazy. She's mentioning about the emperor stuff there. And that dude who she's just mentioned there, I don't know if she's going to mention his name, this yellow emperor guy. But one of them, I'm not sure if it's the yellow emperor, his name is Yan Di, but there's also a Huang Di. So, and Di actually is, I guess, the Chinese word for emperor, which is interesting as well. So, I mean, Yandi, if that's this guy here, it's interesting. You're just one letter away from Landi. That's something that potentially could get mentioned in a little bit later, but I have read a little bit about this. Again, I'm not 100% if it's very on point with the topic. It's just very interesting that this dude's name is a Yandi, and dragon is like significant of him, and he's the emperor. It's just there's a lot of like things going on related.
Eventually, everyone else was banned from wearing any clothing that pictured a 5-clawed dragon. That's not to say that all stories of dragons were based on mythology, animism, or legend. Ancient animals likely played a role as well. Yep, we're talking dragons and fossils. As early as China's Jin Dynasty, which lasted from 265 to 317 CE, we find a text mentioning the discovery of what were believed to be dragon bones in what's now Sichuan province. A lot of the sediment in this area dates back to the Middle and Late Jurassic period, and the area is full of fossils. Remains of dinosaurs like the predatory theropods were found there, as well as a massive sauropod with an extremely long neck that could grow up to 25 meters long. Dragons inhabit exotic spaces, mysterious watery depths, expansive skies, and heavenly realms. Their powers are frightening but inspirational, and they're beautiful in their strength and otherworldliness. Luck, power, wisdom, bravery, strength. Chinese dragons inspired everything from religious practices to the national emblem, countless astounding artworks and architectural marvels to the globally famous dragon dance. The creature is inseparable from the history of the Chinese people. To embrace the Chinese dragon is to celebrate Chinese culture. Thanks for watching. Let me tell you a little bit about Subcultured,
Alright, and that's it. So yeah, really interesting actually. You can make a lot of comparisons there to some of the themes in Shenmue. Just going to go through some of the chat here. So Gamslav said, are we going to see the story finish in the Year of the Dragon? What year would that be then, do you reckon? Because I feel like I may have had this idea in the past myself, because it goes tiger, rabbit, dragon, right? So I believe we're in the year... Oh, there might be another one, actually. Is it tiger, rabbit... What are we in at the moment? I think we are in the Year of the Rabbit right now, right? I imagine dinosaur bones inspire the myth of dragons. Could be, because she did just mention like they discovered these dinosaur bones and stuff that, you know, potentially could originate that idea of dragon. Landy is the dragon. He needs the mirrors to get to back his power. If you're looking at that Shenmue Online stuff, that it looks like that's the thing, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's gonna, especially in the bad ending as well, where he like gets the energy out of the mirror. He looks very much like he's just about to like wreak havoc on, you know, the clouds go dark and that Shenmue 2 bad ending that we saw last stream as well. Rio's father was so powerful at one point he could kill Landy's father, who was also a dragon. Do you think that's the case? Do you reckon it's like handed down from... I mean, that is something that Master Chen says, isn't it? Or someone says like generation to generation. I do feel like there's that theme. Me and Matt's spoken about that sort of a theme as well, that like Shenfar's ancestors, Rio's ancestors, you know, it seems like it's happening over and over in a bit of a cycle. You know, Rio's following in his father's footsteps somewhat. Potentially he's going to kill, maybe Landy's got a son, maybe he kills Landy, Rio does. Maybe, I don't know if he means it or not, and then Rio has a son, Landy's son gets revenge on, and then Shenmue, baby Shenmue in the future meets up with Rio's son. I don't know. It's a bit far-fetched as well. Hey, son, by the way, welcome aboard. Jeremiah Grayest, welcome. Let's get sweaty. And I think you were the guy that followed, so thank you for that. Renners, how you doing, mate? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Anadal, welcome in. It has been a minute. It's been 2 weeks worth of minutes. So nice to see you back in the chat there again. Landy's dragons have 5 claws. What do you mean by that? Do you reckon... Is it... I think they were suggesting that all dragons had 5 claws. This wood, fire, earth, metal. 1, 2, 3. What's this one then? She said wood, fire, earth, metal. What's the 5th one?
metal and water.
Is that water, okay. There's a lot of like element stuff going on here as well, if you know what I mean. Like she's mentioned, I think, like the heavens, the earth. We get those sort of themes with the comrades. The 9 dragons actually is one of the things, and she did say something about 9, right? What did she say? There was it a 9-headed? No, that was an 8-headed dragon. What was the 9 thing she said? Can anyone remember? I've got a memory like a sieve, but she did mention 9 because she was saying it was important that it was 9 because I can't remember. I'm useless. Yeah, no worries, Richard. That was a really cool video. We've got a few more. 1988 would be the year of the dragon. Yeah, so potentially, because the game starts 1986, December, or November the 19th, actually, it starts, doesn't it? 1986. So we're currently in 1987 at the moment, timeline-wise. So honestly, I could literally see that happening, guys. It could end in the Year of the Dragon. Okay, yeah, 2024. It does say at the bottom there, 1988. Brilliant. Thanks for that image. That's Guy Dude. Thanks for that. I should have put that up on the stream, actually. But I don't think I've got the stream chat up here, which is a bit of a oversight on my part, actually. I don't think I can get the chat back up, annoyingly. But yeah, that link, it did lead to an image of the calendar, the Chinese calendar. If you could post that again, I'll get it on the screen here, but not a problem, really. Landy's son, yeah. Don't know if he has or not. Cheers, mate. Yeah, so that's what I was just looking at on my MacBook, which was a bit of a daft thing to do actually. But yeah, so there you go, 2024. So next year's the year of the dragon, and also 1988. So Shenmue timeline wise, obviously we're not going to see that in Shenmue 4 then, are we? Because Shenmue 4 is going to be 1987 still. I think we're like literally only about the halfway point through the year. Because I think you said last week, Matt, that the bad ending's July the 31st in Shenmue 3. So got to have a game or two, definitely. I'll leave that up there, actually. So we're going to move on, I think. I mean, I have got this text, but I don't think it mentions this next thing. So what I did find out, guys, is there is such a thing as Phoenix, but in China, they actually call the Phoenix Fang Wang, which is also interesting for something that we're going to see a little bit later. But I'm going to move on to this Fang Wang video now. So we've just learnt about the dragon a little bit. Did I catch up in the chat? I will catch up a little bit, sorry, before we move on. I'd like to make sure that we get all this stuff in. So yeah, currently the year of the rabbit, okay. Yeah, Clunky Mage, I don't know, I may have just made that up, that he's got a son. Perhaps he hasn't got a son yet, but you know what I mean? It just does seem like there's a bit of a cycle thing going on. Only Emperors can wear 5-clawed dragons. Okay, interesting. Shenmue was supposed to be an 18-month to 2-year journey, so that could easily happen. I feel like that's the way it's going, right? It makes sense. Tiger to dragon. That's the yin and yang sort of thing as well that we learnt in episode 1. Right, cool. Let's get into this Feng Yuan video. So this is the Chinese name for Phoenix. We are at the start there, same volume. Yep, cool. So there's 2 videos on this.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we explore the myth of the Chinese mythical bird, Fang Wang. The Fang Wang was in fact 2 birds at the beginning that always formed a
mountains in
pair
the background.
together. The Fang was a male and the Wang was the female, but later on, Fang Wang was used to refer to a single immortal bird. The Fang Wang is portrayed as a beautifully graceful bird with the body of a swan, but the hind parts of a unicorn with 12 tail feathers, a sinuous neck, and the head of a swallow-throated fowl. Its feathers were stripped and colored black, green, red, white, and yellow. It was a rare creature that didn't show itself to humans very often, but when it did, it was said to be an omen foretelling harmony at the rise to the throne of a new emperor, just like the kirin, the oriental unicorn. The reason why Fang and Wang eventually became known as one single bird is to symbolize the Chinese empress. Indeed, since the Chinese emperor was represented by a dragon, they wanted to pair them together.
That's
Thus,
amazing.
why the Fang Wang is often shown alongside a dragon. One of the
I love these tie-ins. Phoenix and dragon, empress and emperor. And that is like literally a mirror shape, isn't it, with the gem in the middle? So good, so good. Isn't it, Matt? Welcome in, Vivi, by the way. Nice to see you, matey.
first appearance of the Fang Wang goes back to the Shang dynasty. It is said to have been seen alongside the kirin right before the death of the Yellow Emperor, Huang Ti. The Fang Wang is a huge bird that...
He's just said that. Yellow Emperor is that Huang Di guy? So something about the death of that, which is interesting because... So I think Huang Di is the brother to Yan Di. Again, very similar to Lan Di. I don't know if there's anything in that. It just seems very coincidental, very close. Yan is very close to Lan. It's like one character off. What did he say? Let me just say that because it started appearing after the death of Huang Di.
dynasty. It is said to have been seen alongside the kirin right before the death of the Yellow Emperor, Huang Ti. The Fang Wang is a huge bird that is said to be around 9 feet tall. It is one of the spiritual creatures of China alongside the dragon, the tortoise, and the kirin. When it flies, it is surrounded by all the birds of the air, and when they make music, its sweet trill can be heard joining them. Nowadays, you can find the Fang Wang represented in Chinese ceramics, paintings, and plates. It's also used as an element of decoration for temples, and there is even a county in Hunan, in southern China, going by the same name. That
Looks like
concludes
Lihui,
today's video. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget.
Kirin then. See, this is an interesting one because obviously he mentioned the snake tortoise, didn't he? The phoenix, the Fang Wang, whatever, the dragon, but you mentioned Kirin, which we've got a white tiger, I believe. So whether that's just a bit of like a Shenmue sort of thing to tie in Rio by using the tiger aspect. A little bit more on that. So I've got a cool video actually on that Feng Huang town, which is very interesting because it's got to be the inspiration. After you've learnt that, it's got to be the inspiration for Niaowu because we know Niao is, Niao's son. It's like she is this, in a red dress, very much. She's got the Phoenix mirror now. Do you know what I mean? So undoubtedly, in my mind, that this Feng Huang town is Niaowu, in my opinion. Let's get into this next one.
The story about Fang Wang, the Chinese phoenix. The phoenix is probably the most iconic mythical bird in human history. Multiple cultures, from the ancient Egyptians, Greeks, Chinese, and Arabs, revered the bird. In traditional Chinese culture, the phoenix, referred to as Fang Wang, was seen as a noble bird that was able to judge the character of human beings and confer blessings on the righteous. The phoenix, and Chinese culture. In the earliest times, Fang Wang referred not to one bird, but two. Fang was a male bird, while Wang was a female. Together, they were a metaphor for the yin and yang symbol, as well as a representation of the solemn relationship between man and woman. Later, Fang and Wang were combined into a single female bird, and often paired with a male dragon. This is the Chinese phoenix most commonly recognized today. The Fang Wang played a key role in the creation of the cosmos, according to Chinese mythology. Pangu, the god of creation, is believed to have been the first living thing to have come forth from the egg of chaos. Four others followed: a dragon, a qilin, a tortoise, and a Fang Wang. These four are called the four spirits. They joined with Pangu to create
four heavenly
the
beasts,
universe
right?
we now know. The bird's composite body parts are said to represent different aspects of space. The bird head, for example, represents the sky, while tail represents the planets, the eyes represent the sun, and the bird's back symbolizes the moon, wings represent the wind, and feet represent the earth. In Chinese mythology, the male and female aspects of the Fang Wang relate to the philosophical perspective of yin and yang. Artistic depictions of the Fang Wang bird date back as far as 8,000 years ago. Images of the bird first appeared on jade pottery, bronze, and jade figurines from the Hongshan culture. These early representations are often associated with symbols of good luck. The merging of the two birds into one first happened around the Yuan dynasty, 1271 to 1368. Ancient Chinese classic literature, Shenhijin, mentions the bird's 5 colors as symbols for Confucius' 5 virtues. The colors, red, green, yellow, black and white, are said to represent the virtues: charity, uprightness, knowledge, faithfulness, politeness. The Fang Wang bird, as female representation, came to be synonymous with the empress. The masculine dragon came to represent the emperor.
Amazing. I do love how it all ties in. Just go back a second on that one. So, I love that image, by the way. I was just looking at this dude here. Is this dude? Remember when we had that Shimmer Online scroll? That could be that dude. It could just sort of be a similar sort of depiction to what's going on there when we were looking at that Shimmer Online scroll at the start. And I pointed out that there was like the figures and stuff. Potentially very similar theming going on. Just in the way this video looks. To be fair, it's weird. Hey Terry, how are you doing, mate? Yeah, Chobu is what it's called in Japanese, I believe. So the Chinese name is Niawu, I think, which is what we got, or something like that. Something going on there, but I know it's Hakkasan is Bailey Village and Chobu is Niawu in the Japanese versions of the game. I think that's just a translation thing, perhaps. But yeah, Niawu, Niao-sun, I think it's definitely, and she wants to rule, or does she even? She may even rule over Niawu. I don't know, in the game anyway. But she kind of represents the Phoenix as well. I know there's a bit going on with Shenmue being the Phoenix kind of thing, but Niao-sun's definitely that fire Phoenix sort of vibe as well. Yeah, no worries. So, in light of that, so there's actually a town named after Phoenix. So it's basically called Phoenix Town. Okay, we're gonna have a quick look at this because I think it's very fitting because it looks exactly like Niawu. You can see the layout of the roads, the fact that there's like a canal running through the middle. I think people have made this comparison in the past, so it's not like a new thing, but it's a future mini game. Sticks and stones. Cormorant fisherman, perhaps. I don't think there's a bridge, is there, that connects both sides of the canal, but not in Shenmue 3, yeah. But you can see the structures of, I think the buildings are like on stilts. Just looks like an awesome place. I'd love to add this to like Shenmue pilgrimage stuff. Real life Master Bay. Well, essentially it is. I mean, they could have called it Fang Wang in the game, really. I think we still don't really know why they changed all the names of these locations, if it's a China thing to try and get it released over there. But it looks like an awesome place to visit in person, with the stepping stones across the canal. These sort of boat tours. Again, disclaimer, I'm not one to say like I know anything about Chinese locations, towns. I mean, there could be other places that look like this as well. But I'm just getting a lot of Niawu vibes from this. The boats with the guys with the big long poles. Again, that could just be a common thing in China, but you can kind of see the inspiration for Shenmue 3's Niawu. You think there's too many people if you wanted to visit here? It does look very crowded, doesn't it? Well, in places. Yeah, definitely, Shensun. No McDonald's spoiling the view as well. And all these places, you know, Yu Suzuki's probably been. When he was doing his research trip, this was probably one of the locations. I know we went to Shuzo, which does look a bit similar to this. What always blows me away, and this is just a random point, is like, I'm sat here streaming, right, and probably, I don't know what time it is in China, but this is just going on across the other side of the globe. This could be happening right now, what we're watching. And look at all these Meow Village people. Basically like Shenmue's outfit. crazy how much cultural stuff that they've used in Shenmue. This lady at the bottom there, she looks like that kind of outfit, doesn't she, with the white and the... I'm not 100% if the Meow stuff is like linked to this village. This Fang Wang stuff, but again... Maybe that's the connection with the Phoenix thing. Well, yeah, no, this was recorded in 2016, so this isn't a live webcam. What's going on there? Hopefully she's not packing there. I love watching stuff like this. This is just someone's life. That bloke's probably doing that every day. Very much looks like the promenade, perhaps. No people on bikes in Shenmue 3, but obviously that's 1987, so maybe they weren't. Was that Dallin? Beijing, it'd be, weren't it, in Niawu? They could have done these as mini games, whatever this is. Maybe it's a bit like drafts. It looks like drafts to me. Hey up, sheep. There's no running zones. Look up, is that what that says there? That's no running. Very cool. I'm going to let it go into the next video actually, because I did have a video on the Meow. There's a lady that's dressed like that Meow stuff with like Shenmue. Yeah, it definitely looks like Meow doing it. Retro. So the ancient Meow people of Fang Wang. So yeah, it does sound like the Meow thing is like linked to this village, which is interesting.
The Meow people live in Fang Wang.
Okay.
This girl is wearing the Meow traditional dress and welcoming travelers with her song.
There you go, bloody cormorant in it. Oh no, that's a sack. I think that's a sack. I thought he had a cormorant on his... Unless he's a sack with a cormorant in it.
The ethnic roots of the Meow go back probably 4,000 years. But even with a population of about 9 million, the people group is still considered a minority in China.
9 million in the city, did you just say? Or 9 million Meow people?
Welcome to our city, sings the girl. Even if we belong to different people groups, we are still all brothers and sisters. The ancestors of today's Meow were driven ever further to the south and into the mountain regions by the fast-growing Han Chinese population. Between the 17th and the 20th centuries, there were several Meow uprisings.
That's a nice shot of the...
Only with the founding of the People's Republic of China did they gain equal standing in Chinese society.
Nice way to end the song.
To keep the troublesome minority in check, the Han Chinese built a wall. The Southern Wall, which has nothing to do with the Great Wall, runs along the border between Hunan and Guizhou.
Okay.
There were supposedly between 4,000 and 5,000 soldiers stationed along this border to defend against the Meow people.
That's definitely the Great Wall in the ending of the game, right? Not this wall. Right? Just a little thought there.
Traveling inland from Fang Wang takes us to Deheng, which literally translated means the beautiful valley.
Jim's University.
Also here, the population is predominantly Meow Chinese.
Hopefully this is like a fun
Nothing
lecture.
much has changed over the past years in Deheng either. The Miao and the Tujia have been able to preserve their cultural characteristics. They live simple lives,
There's that fox
embedded
there.
in a
Or a
romantic
dog.
landscape.
Doggy.
In Long Jushan's family, one tradition has a very special meaning.
So what's interesting here is that Miao village that was cut from Shenmue 2, this could be like
On festive days, the girls are allowed to wear their
what
grandmother's
it would have
silver
looked
jewelry.
like, housing-wise.
For the Miao, silver serves as more than just decoration. It is given as gifts for every occasion and symbolizes the wealth of the family.
Symbolises the wealth of the family.
A
Okay.
woman from a well-to-do home would have silver jewelry weighing about 15 kilograms. Jushan is a very gifted dancer and drummer. She has been crowned Queen of the Miao Drums 3 times already.
I'm going to
For
quiz you at
thousands
the
of
end.
years, this people group has had a kind of mystical relationship to the drums. For them, they symbolize the taut skin of a pregnant woman's stomach. Through the pounding of the drums, they celebrate the propagation and preservation of their people. The girls practice at least once a day, and they regularly play in traditional costume, regardless of whether visitors are watching or not.
Interesting. Again, I find it interesting this is their live. Every day they practice on these drums. Are they getting paid? Is this a job? Or a hobby? Cool. We're not going to get into any more of these videos here now, but that's pretty cool. I just thought I'd show you that one. I've discovered that actually when I was Googling, because at first I was Googling like Phoenix and I wasn't really getting many hits, or I was YouTubing Phoenix. But as soon as I started doing Fang Wang, I was getting a couple of like really interesting videos on the Phoenix. So there's a bit of a pairing there, Dragon and Phoenix. I think that's pretty good. We've covered some of the basics of them, and it seems though everyone seems to be destined for a degree in Jim's university class here. We are going to get into proper university style book here now, which may take us to the end of the stream actually. So, okay, I was going to do the Feng Wang videos at the end, but it doesn't matter, we've done them in that order now, but we're going to get into the dragon stuff now. And looking at the clock, I'll probably try and leave Chio for next stream, so that we don't just start covering a new topic and then I have to end the stream kind of thing. So I think it's a good one to base on the dragon. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth in the dragon now. This is probably going to be very deep stuff, but hopefully we can kind of find some sort of links to Shenmue, and it's just great to learn this stuff. I think in general it's very interesting. I'll close that now. And yeah, thanks for sticking around so far, guys. Hopefully it's not too boring. I'm finding it interesting so far. So let's get going with this. So basically what I've done, I've took all of the text from this chapter of the book on Dragon, and I've used Amazon Polly, which is kind of like a text-to-speech. I'm not sure if we're going to hit any where I have to start paying for the service, but I think what I've done so far is free. So it's very natural talking, which is going to be really good. Saves me, wrecking my voice by reading 25 minutes worth of text here. So let's get into it, guys.
One of the most important mythical creatures in Chinese mythology, the dragon is the controller of the rain, the river, the sea, and all other kinds of water, symbol of divine power and energy, great helper of heroes, and bearer of gods
Cheers,
or
Annabelle.
demigods. In the imperial era it was identified as the symbol of imperial power. The figure of the dragon appeared within the modern boundaries of China at least 6,000 years ago. In 1987, at the Zishupo Cemetery ruins in Puyang County,
Oh my
Henan
God.
Province, Figures
Let
of
me
a
just stop
dragon
this shit
and a
here a
tiger
second.
were unearthed in a tomb.
What? In 1987, figures of a dragon and a tiger were unearthed in a tomb. That can't be coincidence, can it? Isn't Menkun, I think, I don't know if anyone, I should have had some of this research stuff up on here, but there's Yu Suzuki visited the grave, right, of Abaji Kwan Master. I forget his name, but it's in the research trip stuff. And that was, I think that was in Menkun. These forbidden, is it the Forbidden Temple? I think it might be the Forbidden. Let me see if I can get some images up here. Forbidden Temple, China. No, that's the Beijing one. Fuck, what's it called? Anyone know what I'm on about here? I've got it in. Is it in Shenmue World Issue 2? Here we go. I have a plug here. I just want to mention this. Pagoda Forest. Right. Pagoda. Could be temple. I'll put in Pagoda Forest, China. I think it's in Menkun. Shaolin Temple. The Shaolin Temple, which, if you're looking at the chapter art, is this chapter 7? No, that's the Cliff Temple. Just double check the chapters. Could be that one then. There's something Shaolin that I've read. Regardless, where's this based? Shaolin Temple. Location of the so it's like a cemetery basically, which is where I was just getting that little connection from about the. So it's a cemetery ruins. I don't think it's there. Puyang County, Henan Province. Where's this place? I'm just blind. I can't see where it's saying it is. Pagodas. Architecture. Stands at the foot of the Shaoxin Mountain. Henan. Ooh. That's what I was looking for. Henan Province. Is this the same place? That would be insane if they've actually made that connection there. Puyang County. Let's have a look at this place. Puyang Henan. The site was excavated from 1987 to 1988. Puyang. One of the burials, the body of a tall adult male was flanked by two mosaics, formed the white clamshells, a tiger design to the right and a dragon design to the left. The burials were accompanied by the bodies of 3 young children. Conspiracy theories. This is insane stuff, guys. Just that one little paragraph is like speared us off into Puyang County, Henan Province. Very interesting. Could be a bit of a connection there. I don't know. I could just be making some shit up there, but it's very interesting. Every time I hear the word tiger and dragon, I'm going to be pausing this stuff. So. Oh, what's going on here? Got a bloody... Oh, shit. What have I done? Fuck. I may have... Let me just go back on Amazon Polly. I may have expired my login or something, because I did it a while back. I need to figure out how to get to... Shit. That's just screwed me. This is all new stuff to me, this. I found this. I need to find my bucket. Let me see if I can find my bucket, whatever that is. S3. Please be this. Yes, this is it. All streams text. Dragon. Open.
One of the most important mythical creatures in Chinese mythology,
Sorry,
the
guys,
dragon
I'll
is
try
the
not to pause
controller
anymore.
of the
I'll
rain,
just
the river,
add a little
the
bit of a
sea,
Shenmue
and
jizz.
all other kinds of water, symbol of divine power and energy, great helper of heroes, and bearer of gods or demigods. In the imperial era it was identified as the symbol of imperial power. The figure of the dragon appeared within the modern boundaries of China at least 6,000 years ago. In 1987, at the Zishupo Cemetery ruins in Puyang County, Henan Province, figures of a dragon and a tiger were unearthed in a tomb. Both of them were made from numerous shells. The dragon measured 1.78 meters, nearly 6 feet, in length and 0.67 meter, 2.2 feet, in height. Dating back to over 6,400 years, it is presently the earliest image of a dragon uncovered in Chinese archaeology. Thus, it is widely known by the title The First Dragon of China. In another archaeological project, a jade-coiled dragon was uncovered that dates to around 5,000 years ago. This dragon was discovered in the Hongshan culture relics, which are mainly located in the area between modern Inner Mongolia, Liaoning Province, and Hebei Province. It is about 26 centimeters, 10.4 inches, long and coiled
uncovered?
like the letter C. The figure has a snake's body, a boar's head, a tight-lipped snout, and 2 bulging eyes. In Chinese mythology and belief, the dragon often appears as a most powerful and divine creature. People believe that the dragon can fly in the sky and make clouds with its breath. Wherever it appears there will be clouds. Among its many miraculous abilities, the
Dark
power of
clouds obscure the
controlling rain
heavens.
in the river is the most well known.
Controlling the rain as
In
well.
people's imaginations, dragons usually live in water and are the controllers of rain. If there is a drought in any area, by praying to a dragon, residents hope to get rain. In Chinese scholarship, there are mainly 2 hypotheses concerning the essential characteristics of the dragon. One
Dragons don't
hypothesis
sleep.
aims to find a real prototype of the dragon. This hypothesis often identifies the dragon with a crocodile, tornado, or lightning, or even the river. Another hypothesis states that the dragon is a joint image of different animals. Scholars work to discover each of these components by studying ancient texts. This hypothesis links the dragon with the fanciful images of the snake, lizard, deer, and horse, and states that the dragon is a combination of totems that originally belonged to several main tribes that integrated with each other in ancient China. These hypotheses are only 2 of the many ideas about the origins of the dragon. However, although people have been probing into facts and stories about the dragon for hundreds of years, the dragon has yet eluded final interpretations. Although the dragon is a mythological creature, there are abundant detailed descriptions about its figure in classical documents and in oral tradition. Some versions state that there are several varieties of dragons. The dragons that have scales are called Jiao Long. Long means dragon in Chinese. Those that have horns are called Chu Long, and those that do not have horns are called Qi Long. In many texts, the dragon's figure is depicted in a very detailed way. Some say that dragons had hang scales 1 qi, 1/3 of 1 meter, in diameter below their jaw. Some say that dragons appear with a horse's head and snake's tail. And in another version a dragon appears with a deer's horns, an ox's ears, a camel's head, a rabbit's eyes, a snake's neck, a clam's abdomen, a fish's scales, a tiger's paws, and an eagle's claws. Some documents note that dragons have a body part on their heads shaped like overlapping hills. This part is called Shimu. Without it, dragons cannot fly into the sky. It is also said that below a dragon's jaw grows the most valuable pearl. Another famous attribute regarding the dragon is that dragons may give birth to 9 varieties of offspring that are quite different from the dragon species. Each kind of offspring has a specific name, and they are very dissimilar in appearance, nature, and ability. However, though this belief is well known, there are no conclusive findings about the names of the dragon's 9 varieties of offspring. According to the semantic features in traditional Chinese language, some scholars assert that in early history the Chinese word for 9 did not mean a certain amount. It was just a word that generally referred to many or a lot. In later times, People considered it to be an exact figure and tried to give names to the 9 varying offspring of the dragon.
It's
Therefore,
definitely on
several
about the 9
stories
dragons,
about
right?
these 9 offspring appeared. One of the most popular versions identifies the dragon's offspring and their abilities. Because of these abilities, they were used, and continue to be used, as decorations, and thus show people's belief in these mythical creatures. The 9 offspring are the following: Bixi, which is good at bearing heavy things, and thus its figure is often sculpted as the foundation of stone monuments. Kiwin, keen on looking long distances so that its figure is often painted or sculpted on eaves. Tauti, which is good at drinking water, thus its figure is usually carved on bridges to prevent flood. Yazi, which is fond of fighting, thus its figure is often used to decorate the handles of knives and swords. Bian, which hates criminals and therefore its figure often ornaments the gates of prisons. Swani, keen on smoke and fire so that its figure often appears on the lid of incense burners. Boxia, which likes water very much so that its figure is
I
usually
like that this
carved on
AI
the
voice is
guardrails
like
of bridges.
pronouncing the words,
Jiachu,
I guess,
which
correctly.
dislikes others to enter its house,
'Cause I
thus
wouldn't
its
be able to
figure
read
often
this.
appears on the gates of houses. And Pulau, which likes music and roaring, therefore its figure often decorates bells. The dragon myths are widely spread in China, not
Han
only
people,
among Han
okay.
people but also in many other ethnic groups.
What's this
In
thing?
the book Shanhajing, numerous gods or demigods
Dragon
are
King.
associated with dragons. Most of these divine creatures are described as having a dragon's or snake's appearance. Some of them had a dragon's trunk and a human head, such as Pangu, Fuxi, Nuwa, Huangdi, Yendi, the thunder god living in the Thunder
There you go.
Marsh, and gods living in areas from
Yandi,
Tianyu
that's the
Mountain
guy I
to
was on
Nanyu
about.
Mountain, from Shanhu Mountain to Qi Mountain, and from Guanling Mountain to Dunti Mountain. Some of them had a bird's head and a dragon's trunk, such as the gods living in the area from Gui Mountain to Kiwu Mountain, and from Zioyao Mountain to Chiwei Mountain.
Well, that
One
guy.
of the most famous dragons in Chinese mythology is Yin Long, or responding dragon. It was he who helped Huangdi overcome Qiaoyu. He is also said to be the god of rain. In many places people pray to him in order to receive rain.
I should
Another
be able to
famous
pause
dragon
this stuff
recorded
now, I
in
reckon.
Shanhajing is
7 minutes 11. I just want to talk a little bit about this. So, one of the most famous dragons in Chinese mythology is Yin Long, or responding dragon. He was the one who helped Huang Di overcome Qiao. There's just too many coincidences for like this to not be stuff. Like Yan Di. So, Huang Di is the guy, I believe, that killed Qiao. So, let's just say, for example, Huang Di in Shenmue is Lan Di's father, maybe. And then Lan Di, maybe out of revenge or something, is like, I'll get the mirrors and I'm going to resurrect Qiao that Huang Di killed. I don't know. I'm just trying to connect this to thingy. And this guy could be Yan Di. Again, disclaimer, if anyone is like really well versed in Chinese mythology, I'm sorry for being so. Yeah, the word Di in Chinese means emperor. And Long, we just learnt, is the word for dragon. So Lan Di is called Chang Long, or Long Sun Zhao. So he's actually got dragon in his name. Di means emperor, which is very interesting because obviously the dragon is the emperor, the phoenix is the empress. So we've got all these kind of tie-in stuff. Long D. Okay, I know what you mean there, son. Just read some of the chat, sorry, while we're talking about this. So, talking about the flood, because obviously the dragon, it mentioned that it brings like a lot of water and stuff, right, and rain. So Sheepa says, when you think about it, wherever Landy goes, it rains. The dojo at the start of the game, the flood in Guilin, and then the rooftop in Shenmue 2, the sky's bright red. Red sky in the morning, sailor's warning. Isn't it something like red sky at night, farmer's delight or something? Did it rain at the end of Shenmue 3 in the castle? Sailor's delight? Isn't it something to do with farmers? What's the farmers one then? Shepherd's Delight. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. I don't know if it rained at the end, but something did put out the fire, didn't it? Because when they're looking at it, is it just singeing? Because me and Matt did that glitch mod thing, didn't we? Where we moved the camera at the end of Shenmue 3, and I think it's when the boats are leaving for the Cliff Temple or wherever they're heading. We actually went all the way up to the cliff, the castle, Landy's castle or whatever, and it was like just singed. So something put the fire out, basically. So you could be right, mate. I don't know if I can't recall rain at the end of Shenmue 3. But shit goes down anyway, regardless. Reckon Landy and Shenmue are both reincarnations of the Emperor and Empress. I think so, mate. I've got this theory that they're brother and sister. I really do. I think there's something that's going to tie them together. Maybe Shenhua's mother and father were also the mother and father of Landy, and Landy's taking revenge, and then it's sort of like links Shuing and her brother. You've got this brother and sister relationship. I think there's quite a lot of these orphaned themes, and I think we're going to get some twists later in the series where they're related and they're like the ancestors of potentially these original Chinese folklore things. And I really hope, they sack off this China stuff now. Shenmue 3 didn't get released in China, so just sack it off. Let's go back to the basics. Let's start naming the places that we go to after the actual Chinese cities. Let's start reintroducing some of this Chinese mythology that is like at the core of some of Shenmue's themes and stuffs. And let's get back to this where it's like Shenhua could be the ancestor of some iteration of the Empress or whatever. Landy could be the ancestor of this Huang Di, who actually killed Chiyo at some point. Let's get back to those themes because those are what excites me the most. I'm not too excited, I'm being honest, about seeing Ryo and Landy have another fight and Ryo wins and that's like the end of the game. Obviously that is the end goal at some point, but it's not what particularly excites me as such. I feel like a lot of these themes, in my opinion, are what I kind of want to see fleshed out a bit more. But let's crack on with this before
Oolong
this
or
time's out
Cheyenne,
again.
Torch Dragon or Torch.
You kidding me? Is it fucked again?
One of the most important mythical
7-11. Please, please, please. Don't do this on stream.
One of the most important
Please don't do
horns
this
are
on
called
stream.
water. Its head, Sun. Another famous dragon recorded in Shanhajing is Hulong or Cheyenne, Torch Dragon or Torch Shadow. He is a deity who composed the universe with his body. There are many stories in Shanhajing that connect heroes with dragons to explain their miraculous births. In this cluster of myths, the hero's mother had an experience of copulating with a divine dragon before she got pregnant and then gave birth to her hero son. These heroes, including Huangdi, Shenang, Yao, and Shun, all inherited the dragon's powers and did many great deeds while they were growing up. In Huhanshu, the history of the
What's going on with this piece of shit?
one of the most important mythical creatures in Chinese myth.
Just refresh it. Oh. Why does it do this on stream? Sorry guys, I'm not going to pause it again now. Because this is doing my head in.
One of the most important myths made.
Please, just carry on playing. Stop pausing.
Another famous dragon recorded in Shanhajing is Hulong or Cheyenne, Torch Dragon or Torch Shadow. He is a deity who composed the universe with his body. There are many stories in Shanhajing that connect heroes with dragons to explain their miraculous births. In this cluster of myths, the hero's mother had an experience of copulating with a divine dragon before she got pregnant and then gave birth to her hero son. These heroes, including Huangdi, Shenang, Yao, and Shun, all inherited the dragon's powers and did many great deeds while they were growing up.
Character there for you as well.
In Huhanshu, the history of the Eastern Han Dynasty, compiled by Fan Yi, 398 to 445 CE, there is a dragon myth told by the Lihui people, an ethnic group of the Han dynasty. It states in detail that Lihui people in southwest China are
Cheers, Matt. Thanks
descendants
for
of a
coming.
divine dragon.
Thanks for
According
sorting
to
that
this
stuff out
story,
early as well.
in the beginning there was a woman named Shei who lived in the area of Lao Mountain. One day when she was fishing, she was touched by a tree trunk floating in the water. She then became pregnant and gave birth to 10 sons. Thereafter
you
the
wouldn't like
trunk
that to happen in
changed
real life,
into a
would you?
dragon.
Touch a
The
tree
dragon
trunk.
came out of the water
10
and
kids.
asked Shei, "Where are the sons you bore for me?" Seeing the dragon, all the
Have to stop
sons were
touching
scared and
trees
ran
now
away
outside.
except for the youngest one, who sat with his back against the dragon. And then the dragon licked the boy on his back. In Shei's own language, sitting was pronounced Ju, and back was pronounced Long. So the youngest son was named Julong. He had received the dragon father's caresses and was very smart. When Julong grew older, he was elected king by his brothers. These 10 brothers married 10 sisters who were born in another family nearby. All had their children tattooed with patterns of a dragon on their bodies. This became a convention of their descendants, the Lihui people. Dragons also appeared as bearers of gods or demigods in many myths. In Shanhajing, these kinds of stories are recorded in several sections. For example, Chapter 6 of that book depicts the god Jurong with an animal's trunk and a human head, and states that he often rode on 2 dragons. In chapters 7 and 16, 2 recordings about Qi, the hero Yu's son, the first king of the Xia dynasty, mention that Qi also had 2 dragons as bearers.
Why is
Similar
Qi
depictions
familiar?
can be found in stories of Huangdi, Zhuangshu, Yukiang, and Rushu, sporadically appearing in Hanfeizi, Dada Liji, and Shanhajing. Not all dragons played beneficial roles for human beings. Some dragons were bad and harmful and often brought disasters to people. One famous example is the black dragon killed by the goddess Nuwa. The black dragon caused a deluge, and this flood could not be stopped until the goddess defeated and killed the dragon. Some renowned stories tell of dragons rearing. Several such stories are recorded in Zuowan, Chronicle of Zuo, once attributed to Zuo Qiuming, an ancient historian who lived in the last stage of the spring and autumn era, but probably compiled in the Warring States period. One is about a dragon raiser. In ancient times there were people who raised and trained dragons. A famous one was Dong Fu, descendant of Yangshuan. He loved dragons and could understand a dragon's will and interests, and for this reason he raised dragons very well. Many dragons went to him to be tamed and fed. With these dragons Dong Fu served King Shun, one of the 3 sage kings. The king therefore bestowed on him Dong and Wanlong, dragon raiser, as his family name. Another story associated with dragon rearing is of Kongjia, the 14th king of the Xia dynasty. Because of his obedience to the god of heaven, Kongjia was given 2 pairs of dragons to ride, each pair included 1 male and 1 female. But Kongjia could not take care of them without a dragon raiser. Then a person named Lihui, who had learned the skill of raising dragons from Wanlong, served Kongjia. Kongjia praised him and granted him the surname Yulong, dragon trainer. One day a female dragon died. Lihui stealthily chopped its meat and cooked it for the king to eat. Kongjia was so pleased with the meat that soon after, he asked Lihui to cook the same meal for him again. This scared Lihui. Where and how could he get more dragon meat? He had to escape from the palace. Many versions of dragon myths orally transmitted in ethnic groups in contemporary China have more complicated plots. A story told by the Miao people, an ethnic group in southwest China, mentions that it was a divine dragon that created human beings. Long ago there were no human beings in the world, but there was a divine dragon that lived in a cave. One day, many monkeys came to the cave to play. The divine dragon blew to those monkeys, and the monkeys all transformed into human beings. As a result, the dragon received high respect and worship from Miao people. Another ethnic group in southwest China,
It's
the
interesting about the
Bai,
Miao
say
people.
that it was a dragon that gave birth to a couple that later became the ancestors of human beings. In remote antiquity, the earth consisted of 5 separate parts. The east was occupied by
What
birds.
does that word mean, guys?
The south was
Antiquity?
occupied by
'Cause
beasts.
that's the name of the song, isn't
The
it?
west was occupied by insects, and the north had fishes and shrimp. In the center part lived a female monkey who had 3 heads and 6 arms. The kings of birds, beasts, insects, and fishes and shrimp were, respectively, the phoenix, the tiger, the bee, and the giant turtle. They often visited the monkey and had intercourse with her.
Ooh,
Long
okay, but
afterward, the monkey became pregnant.
X-rated.
After 9,900 years, the monkey produced 99 eggs. However, all the eggs except the
Not safe
biggest
for
one were
work either,
stolen by
sorry.
the kings of the other 4 areas. Under the monkey's cautious care, the biggest egg hatched a python. Conforming to his monkey mother's request, the python departed to look for those eggs stolen by the kings. He defeated and
Wendy's
devoured those
about to
birds,
start an
beasts,
OnlyFans.
insects, and fishes and shrimp that tried to hinder him along the way. Therefore his appearance changed completely. He became a strange winged creature that had a bull's head, deer's horns, pig's mouth,
Who
hawk's
comes up with these
paws, and
stories?
snake's trunk. He had become a divine dragon that could fly up to the sky and control the wind and rain. The 4 kings were so scared by the dragon that they returned all the eggs to him. The dragon broke the eggs one by one. Each time he broke an egg, a creature appeared. But all of these creatures ran away from the dragon. The only ones who stayed with the dragon were hatched from the last 2 eggs. They were a man and a woman. It was they who bore human beings in later time. Besides these rich myth texts, there are numerous dragon stories that belong to the genre of folktale or legend. These kinds of stories are extremely widespread in China. Their motifs and plots are also diverse. One of the most famous dragon tales is about Yi Gao and the dragons. Yi Gao loved dragons very much. He decorated his whole house with dragons' figures. Because of this display of admiration, a dragon was impressed and came down from heaven to visit Yi Gao. At the glance of a real dragon, Yi Gao was terrified and quickly ran away. This story is often used as a fable of Yegong How Long, literally meaning Lord Yi loves dragon, to mock the one who claims to love something but is actually afraid of it. In a lot of areas, especially in the east, northeast, and central parts of China, among Han people there are plentiful stories about short-tailed old Li. Short-tailed old Li is a famous dragon god who is said to have had a short tail. The explanations for why his tail was short are various. One popular version states that his father cut off part of his tail. Short-tailed old Li was born into a poor family in Shandong province as a black dragon. When he was first born and started to suck his mother's breasts, she immediately fainted. Then his father came back from the field. Seeing the strange and ugly newborn baby, the man, already tired of the family burden, became very angry. He hit the baby with a spade and cut off part of the baby Li's tail. The dragon was hurt so severely that he broke the roof of the house and flew away in a cloud of sparks. He never went home again. Many texts state that the place that he flew to was northeast China, where he settled in the Black Dragon River and became the god of that river. He took his mother's family name, Li, so he was called Short-Tailed Old Li.
What is
After
the
his
Heavenly
mother
Beast
died,
in the game?
every
Is it
May
Blue
13th
Dragon?
of the lunar
Not Black
calendar,
Dragon, right?
the
It's
day
Blue
his mother
Dragon, I
died,
think.
Short-Tailed Old Li flew back to pay respect at his mother's grave. Whenever he came back, it would rain. Therefore people worshipped him as a rain god. They often pray to him for rain.
Dragon and the rain and
Texts
stuff.
about the dragon's lineal descendants are also a very important and large part of dragon tales. Differing from the 9 varieties of dragon offspring, these descendants all inherited the dragon's nature and power. They are authentic dragon sons or daughters. A renowned story recorded in a document from the Tang dynasty tells of a dragon king's daughter and her
Terry.
ill-fated marriage. A scholar named Lihui failed in the examination to become an official. When he was on the journey home, he met a pretty lady who was tending sheep in sadness. She was the daughter of the Dragon King of Dongting Lake and had been married to the son of the Dragon King of the Jing River. But in the years after she got married, her husband treated her badly. Eventually she was banished by her parents-in-law to a desolate place to herd sheep. In obedience to the dragon girl's request and instructions, Liu Yi visited the dragon palace in Dongting Lake and delivered the girl's letter to her family. The dragon girl's uncle, the Dragon King of the Qiantang River, was angry at hearing of his niece's treatment. He flew to the Jing River, defeated the son of the Dragon King of the Jing River, and devoured him. Then the dragon girl was rescued and brought home. The Dragon King of the Qiantang River intended to marry the girl to Lihui. Though Lihui was fascinated by the girl's beauty and excellence, he refused the Dragon King for ethical reasons. After he went home with countless rare jewels presented to him at the Dragon Palace, Lihui was married twice. But each marriage quickly ended with his wife's death. A month after he got married for the third time, he learned that his third wife was actually the Dragon Girl. They lived together happily, and eventually both of them became immortals. As the most powerful divine creature, the dragon's influence is deeply rooted in various facets of Chinese culture and society, not only in oral or literate traditions. The dragon is thought to control rain, and whenever there is a drought, people will pray to the dragon for rain. From an ancient era as early as at least the Shang dynasty, 1600 BC to 1046 BC, to modern times, in China there have been a multitude of rituals of praying for rain. Among many of those rituals, the dragon is often worshipped or given the main role. The ways in which people deal with dragons in the ritual differ greatly in different places and eras. According to Chuncho Fanlu, Abundant Dew of the Spring and Autumn Annals, a metaphysical book by Dong Zhongshu, former Han, d. 104 BC, as a drought appears, if one makes several statues of dragons with clay and then asks boys or young men to pace and dance among these statues, the rain will come. The number of the statues, their color, and the people who dance in the ritual will be changed according to the season. Some local records of the areas in southwest China compiled during the Qing dynasty describe that in people's minds a drought can most likely be attributed to the laziness of a dragon. They consequently had specific treatments to motivate the dragon in order to receive rain. One of those was to throw a tiger's bone into the pool where a dragon was thought to live. The dragon would be irritated and would fight with the tiger, and this would cause heavy rain. The reason for this is that the dragon and the tiger are the most fierce and powerful creatures, therefore they cannot bear each other. Whenever they see each other, or even sense a part of the other, they will fight. Another method was to throw dirty things into a pool. Because the dragon could not bear filth, it would create rain to clean its pool. The praying for rain ritual is still very popular in many rural areas in contemporary China, and in the ritual a specific dragon king is usually worshipped as the main god of rain. In parts of northwest China, for example, every village has its own local god that is different in name and the powers it has. These kinds of local gods function as the core being that is worshipped in praying for rain rituals, and many of them are dragon kings. Though the dragon shows up very early in Chinese history and culture, and dragon kings have become popular gods in Chinese belief nowadays, the figures of dragon kings actually did not appear until the Eastern Han dynasty, when Buddhism was imported into China. A deity named Naga was linked with the divine dragon originating in Chinese Buddhism. Because it was thought of as the main god that took charge of rain, a vital resource for agricultural society, the dragon king emerging from Chinese Buddhism received positive feedback from people. Inspired by this, Taoist leaders created their own dragon kings to meet ordinary people's needs and hence attract followers. Therefore, many dragon kings emerged from Chinese Buddhism, Taoism, and folk beliefs. People began to believe that in every sea, river, lake, spring, and even well there must be a dragon king reigning, and numerous temples for dragon kings were built throughout the country. Each dragon king was different in power, rank, and ability, but they all were worshipped as important deities by people in different areas. The dragon's figure is also visible in other kinds of customs. The most well-known examples are the customs of the dragon dance and the dragon boat race. The dragon dance is an activity held primarily at traditional festivals, such as the Spring Festival, Lantern Festival, on January 15th of the lunar calendar, and many kinds of temple fairs. During these holidays, people will prepare for the dragon dance by constructing a dragon approximately 16 feet long with grass and cloth or with bamboo strips and paper. Conventionally, the dragon dance is performed at night, so after shaping a dragon, people will place ornamental candles inside its trunk. These are called dragon lanterns. In the evening, several skilled performers will hold the dragon lanterns on handles under its trunk with all of the candles lit, and they will perform the dragon dance in the public square or along main streets. The scale of a dragon dance festival depends on the size of a community or temple. This kind of performance was originally held to bring good weather and good harvests on specific occasions, but nowadays the dragon dance functions as entertainment. At various celebrations, fairs, and new festivals, the dragon dance is performed in a standardized way, and occurs more often in the daytime rather than its traditional evening performance. The dragon boat race is often held during the Duanwu festival on May 5th of the lunar calendar in river or lake regions in southern China. Sometimes the race is held among several neighboring villages, and sometimes it is held among teams throughout a county or even an entire province. The scale of the races may be very different according to the region they cover, and the dragon boats, though all carved in the shape of a dragon, also differ in size and quality because of their owners' financial resources. In the race, all participating boats will compete in a race to determine which boat covers the predetermined distance the fastest, while the audience stands along the banks and cheers. This forms the highlight of the Duanwu festival. Accordingly, in many areas in southern China the festival is called the Dragon Boat Festival. The origin of the dragon boat race, according to a famous legend, is related to Ku Yuan, the first great poet in the Warring States era, who drowned himself in a river on May 5th for the honor of his state and his ambition. When Ku Yuan threw himself into the Lihui River, people rowed boats on the river to rescue him. Though Ku Yuan died, this act brought about the custom of the dragon boat race. However, scholars presume that this custom originated much earlier than the time of Ku Yuan. It was initially a ritual held to avert evil fortune. During the imperial era from the Han dynasty to the Qing dynasty, the dragon was gradually associated with the symbol of the holy imperial power. Emperors all claimed and tried to testify that they were the sons of heaven as well as the incarnation of a divine dragon. This greatly strengthened the holy image and integrity of royalty in the eyes of ordinary people. Meanwhile, the dragon image that appeared as ornaments on clothes, houses, and many other articles of everyday use was monopolized by emperors.
So this
Commoners
is sort of
who dared to use the figure of a dragon to ornament any article of everyday use risked execution. This situation did not change until 1911, when the imperial era ended. Today more and more ordinary Chinese people identify themselves as descendants of the dragon. And hence the dragon has become a widely accepted symbol of cultural and ethnic identity for contemporary Chinese people.
Hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. There's a few little tales in there, not obviously Shenmue related, but just some interesting history of why the dragon is so revered. This last little paragraph was quite interesting. I just thought, obviously this Qing dynasty is sort of the era that they're trying to revive, and then we're getting into where the dynasty kind of ended with the emperor, this Pu Yu guy, who he reigned until this year, right? That's what they mean here. So this is when the imperial era, and if you remember a lot of the stuff surrounding the Verdant Bridge and the envoy coming, it's the imperial envoy that arrives. And obviously the dragon, the phoenix is depicted. It's this image that appears on a lot of clothing, a lot of these, I don't know what they mean by articles, but you see it on the flags. Obviously dragon on Landy's robe, on the mirrors. It's all sort of this sort of era, which is very interesting. Kind of what we learned from that, for the most part, that's related to Shenmue, is like what we were talking about, how dragon sort of brings rain, the sort of bad weather, the thunder, the lightning. It's the god of thunder or whatever is one of these sort of people related to dragons and stuff. And we get that obviously at the start of Shenmue 1, when the snow turns to rain. Like Sheep says, rain's kind of a recurring theme with Landy. You go to, on the way to Bailu Village, some shit's going down, the clouds in the sky, very much a spur of the moment storm that takes everyone by surprise, almost kills Shenhua, who Ria rescues. Obviously she's trying to save the deer, but could that be brought about because Landy's travelled to thing? He's bringing the storm with him, in a sense, and obviously the bad ending. We're seeing a lot of these themes where the clouds, dark skies are covering the heavens. Heaven's another thing that keeps getting referred to, sort of like the yin and yang, heaven, earth, comrade bollocks and all that sort of stuff that you get with Shenmue. We saw at the very start of the stream, obviously, that Shenmue Online trailer, and I think a lot of these themes have been taken for that, and potentially where the future of the series is going to get to. Hopefully, we're going to see this sort of confrontation between the dragon and the phoenix actually in the real world, obviously in Shenmue in the game form, but you know what I mean, in this sort of real world environment where Shenhua, I don't know why she turns into a meow type of clothing that we saw a little bit earlier with those videos of the Meow tribe who originated the Fang Wang. A lot of these things are linked. So Meow people reside in the ancient town of Fang Wang. Fang Wang is the Chinese word for phoenix. Feng Yuang looks like it resembles Niawu, which I will get that up just while I'm talking about it. So, looks like Niawu to me, Feng Yuang. Obviously, you know, you're looking at these sort of things. Where's that elephant tusk located? So, elephant, what is it? Elephant, how do you spell elephant? Elephant Rock. Is it Elephant Rock, China? Let me just see. That thing. Where's that? Elephant Trunk Hill. Guilin. So it's actually somewhere in Guilin. So maybe they've just tied that because it is supposed to be a city that's located in Guilin, right? Niawu's supposed to be still within Guilin's sort of territory. But again, it does seem like they're basing Niawu off of Feng Yuang, which works out for like the Phoenix aspect, works out for Niao Sun, who is the god of south or whatever, right? Let me just see if I can get that up on ShenWiki. You know, a lot of flames, a lot of sort of phoenix. So she even got phoenix on a bloody robe. So I know that's fan art, but she does, right? She's definitely got phoenix on her outfit. So that's very interesting that Niao Sun, Niao Wu is based on Feng Yuang. Feng Yuang is the Chinese word for phoenix. So yeah, hopefully you can see where I'm getting these links. Oh, we're getting a bit NS, not safe for work, and NSFW with some of this fan art of Niao Sun. Very much a what's that word? You know what she does there? She's like sort of what's that word? I can't think of the word that I'm trying to think of. Seduction. Obviously, she's very. She knows what she's doing with her outfit, basically. But yeah, I think that's very interesting. That all kind of links. Hopefully, you can see the connections that Shenmue's obviously making when it's talking about Phoenix and Dragon. There's a lot of connected lore there, especially with like the bad endings and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, Vivi just mentioned about the boat racing. I don't know what happened to that. There is some remnants of like mini games that we've seen in trailers, and even on that ship that they leave on at the end, there's like some sort of a hoop tossing game that looks like it was there originally. Obviously, we saw, didn't we, some very early beta screenshots of Shenmue 3 where there was like these weird cow things, like tiny cows for some reason, and there was like a hoop throwing game. But in the files, Shenmue 3 music files, which I can actually bring up because I've got them on my my PC here, actually. Music, Shenmue 3, I think it is in the OST. There's a file, and you can see it here, actually. There's a few mini games. There's one for forklift racing, RC forklift racing. I'm sure there was one for boat racing. Let me see, yeah. RC boat and RC fork. So it looks like there was, at some point, some mini games. Let's have a listen to the music just as we close out the stream here. Oh, it's loud. No sound? Just me dancing. Wonder why there's no sound there. I'll get it on YouTube then, because it will be on YouTube. I don't know why there's no sound link there. that could be shouldn't be a desktop thing. RC Boat Race Shimmer 3. I'm sure someone must have uploaded that song, right? Here you go. James Rayner. Here you go. Silent Disco. Sorry about that. Can you hear that? It is showing an audio line now. There we go. And there's the image. Should have done that. Although this is the... Oh, I think it is the same music that's used for both the boat race and the forklift race, whatever this was going to be. Was this the minigame then? Don't know what's going on with the cows. We always saw this footwear here, this 4... I think we thought it was a 4K. It's got us excited anyway. There you go, I'll do the dance again. It's all on the shoulders. Very cool, you get the idea. That's obviously got nothing to do with the topic, it's just we were talking about dragon boats or something, which spurred that extra little thought there going there. But yeah, cool guys, so we've reached 11 o'clock, which I think, thankfully, is a nice place to sort of end the stream. I will give a quick shout out actually, what videos... Oh no, I was going to mention that book that we were reading, if anyone was interested in that. I may have to log in here, but a very interesting book actually. I think it's called The Handbook of Chinese... There you go. I'm quite zoomed in here actually. The Handbook of Chinese Mythology. Very luckily that I'm subscribed to like a... Because I'm doing a university course, we can actually access the library and get this. This is going to be really helpful. You can see all this stuff that we're going to investigate. I want to investigate this period of time, perhaps not so much the early ones, but some of the later stuff there. Hopefully there's a little bit of interesting stuff there, potentially about the Emperor. There's some other stuff I want to go into a little bit with the Chiyo. We're going to probably do Chiyo next week, and I'll try and get some good research going for that Yandi guy, see if we can work out if there is some sort of a connections there to potentially Landi. That's also interesting there. Elixir of Immortality. That was like a summit that you found in a WoW's basement, right? The Elixir of Immortality. Or Forever Youth. This guy here. It's got to be a Landi sort of thing, I think that. So that'll be something we can look into. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys, for today's stream. So I want to thank everyone in the chat. I'm just going to read your last little messages before we close out. Thanks everyone who's watching on the VOD, by the way. Hopefully that was enjoyable. Learned about dragons and Fang Wang. It's pretty cool. You've passed the course. Is it like a race towards the end of the wooden board and you need to stop before the forklift falls off? Potentially. Yeah. Potentially that's what it could be. Just get this image up on the screen just to make the ending look nice. Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with that minigame. But hopefully, yeah, maybe they'll see it, but maybe we'll see that minigame again in the future. I mean, they've obviously worked on something. I just don't know what was going on with those little mini cows as well in the background. But yeah. Cheers, Shansun. Alright, guys. And with that, we're going to close the stream out with what we normally do, which I believe is this end scene here. It's going to be Wish. Enjoy. And thank you very much for coming, guys. All the best. No problem, Clunky Mage. Beanbag toss. What, like a bit of a... I think like a bit of a pail toss sort of thing, perhaps. Nothing related to the... Have to throw a beanbag into the holes to get points. Yeah, I do see what you're saying. I'm pretty sure on the boat as well, there's like places to throw rings. You know what I mean? As the camera pans towards the ending, it passes like Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like places for rings to get in, so that could have been potentially another mini game. Cheers, Vivi. Cheers, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Yourself, Terry. All the best, guys, and yeah, enjoy Wish, and I'll see you actually on the 4th with Matt, so not too long to wait for another stream. Shenmue Day, of course. Hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4. See you on the 4th, and yeah, take care, everyone. Cheers.